Silicon Valley, technology, art, green, and sustainability.
Hi, welcome to another episode of Silicon Valley Tech, Art, Green, and Sustainability, SVTAGS. Tonight I have joining me a lady who is an amazing woman, and your story just touched me so much a few weeks ago when I heard it that I wanted you to be on our 150th show today. So welcome, Jennifer Cullenbine, founder of The Giving Tree. And is that the full name of The Giving Tree?
The Family Giving Tree.
The Family Giving Tree. And before we get into the Family Giving Tree, tell us a little bit about yourself. Are you from the Bay Area, your educational background, what you did
born
before
and
you're
raised native Californian. Born and raised in Palo Alto, went to Palo Alto High School, Foothill Junior College, and then off to San Jose State University.
And so you did your undergraduate at San Jose State?
And my graduate degree at San Jose State.
What was your undergraduate?
Business management.
Okay.
I went to school to be a social worker.
Wow.
And I realized very quickly that I probably wouldn't be able to leave the job at work. I would take it home with me, and that wouldn't work out very well for me. So I decided to do something a little bit different.
That's interesting. I have a friend who went through counseling too, and went through the 1,000 hours and got into it and just couldn't leave it at home.
Yeah,
it's hard
it'd
sometimes.
be very sad.
Yeah. So your senior project, what was your master's degree in?
MBA, so business management.
Okay.
And my senior class project was to go out and do something that added value to someone else's life and then come back and tell the class about it. And it was a group of about 8 of us. And I suggested doing a Family Giving Tree project, trying to help 300 children in East Palo Alto, and the rest of my teammates shot the idea down and said it wouldn't work.
All of them did?
All but one.
All but one. And who was the other one?
And the other one was Todd Yoshida.
Okay.
And he caught me after class and said, "Jennifer, I thought that was a really good idea." And we looked at each other and we said, well, let's do it.
And so that was the beginning. And the story you told, you started calling people.
Yeah.
Tell us that story.
That was hard. So first we had to get the children's wishes, what they wanted for the holidays. So I got on the phone with some friends and my mom, and we were making lots of calls to families in East Palo Alto.
And this is also why you're studying for the master's.
Yes, yeah. to finish my degree.
So you were not a go-getter or anything?
No, not at all, not at all. I was in my father's kitchen at the time making these calls.
Wow.
And I got a little boy who was 4. And his name was Luis, and I said, "Hi, Luis. My name is Jennifer, and I'm an elf. I work for Santa Claus. What would you like for him to bring for you for Christmas?" And Luis, he said, "Pillows. I want 2 pillows." And I thought maybe I misheard him, and I said, "Like to sleep in bed with?" And he said, "Yes." I said, "Okay, Santa will bring you pillows, but what toys do you like?" And he said, "No, Santa will bring me pillows." So I hung up the phone, and I thought, wow, that was really strange. And I called back the next morning, and I got his grandmother, and I told her about the conversation with Luis, and she said, well, his mom and his sister sleep on the floor. And I thought, wow, he's 4 years old, and he's thinking about his mom and his sister before himself. And that was like the phone call that I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. I have to make it work.
That's amazing. We're going to pull up the first slides. I'm behind on the slides, and so here's our beautiful San Jose State where it all started. And what year was that again?
1990.
1990. So 20, how many?
26 years ago.
Pull that down. 26 years.
Yeah.
Wow. And you're going strong.
Yes.
So tell us what it is then that you guys do.
Well, we have 2 main drives a year. Our back to school drive, which provides backpacks filled with school supplies that are grade appropriate for about 35,000 children in the Bay Area.
35,000. So is that like all 9 counties, or do you do?
We are helping in 9 counties. We try to help any kids in counties that the public is also supporting. So if families in Marin want to help support us, we'll find children in Marin that need help, and so we try to match that up as best we can. But yes, 9 counties all over the Bay Area.
So and then back to the beginning, how did you find the families? I mean, did you work with a church, or how did you?
So the key, that really is the key. It's the social service agencies that already work with these families, because I can't guarantee if you give me a gift, I'm going to give it to a needy child unless I'm sure it's a needy child. And so the agencies have to screen for their families. So all we have to do is screen the agency.
How long of a process is that for them?
Not very long at all. They have to show us a 501c3 letter and show us a list of the types of services they provide, and that's good enough.
But the agency themselves, when they're screening the families, is that a long process for them?
For them it is, yes,
Yeah.
and that's why we
So
go
sometimes
through
it
them.
takes 6 months or a year?
No, not normally. A lot of the emergency shelters and things will work things out in hours, but it depends on what kind of services that they need. But at least working through the agencies, I know that when I get a wish from an agency for, Gerald who wants some pants, I know they've asked Gerald what Gerald wants.
So it's an actual true item, and it's not, tell us the details about your program then, and how it works, and there's different programs. So we've got the box here too. I don't know if this is appropriate time to talk about that. Let's actually pull up the first slide, or the second slide, and I think, is this backpacks?
The warehouse of backpacks.
So this
beautiful?
is the 35,000. This is not obviously all the 35,000, but this is just a portion
About
of that.
5,000 backpacks in those two piles there. Yeah.
Wow.
And so we borrow a building every year for both of our drives, and we have all the Bay Area companies and some families and some churches bring backpacks to us. We have 1,000 volunteers who sort through the backpacks, make sure that they have every item that grade needs, and then the schools one by one come to us and pick them up and take them back to their students.
And is that a once a year or twice a year?
That's a once a year, but
Once
it
a year.
takes the whole summer
Okay.
to do that.
Okay.
And then our second drive is the Holiday Wish Drive, and that's the one we started with the holiday gifts. And let's see, we're helping
Well, before we go there, let's pull up this next slide, because I think this has to do with the backpacks too.
Oh yes.
So
yes,
is
yes.
this, it looks like there's books and supplies back
This
there.
is a local school where we went to pass backpacks out to students.
Okay.
And so the beautiful young lady in pink and white is Paulina Edmonds. She's a silver medalist Olympic skater. And she decided last year that she wanted to help a charity, and she chose ours. And so she is our celebrity spokesperson. And she tweets about us, and she Instagrams
She looks
about
so, I'm
us.
going to pull that down. She looks so young.
Yes, she is very young. She just started at Santa Clara University.
Okay. She looks like she's, 13 or
She's
something
18,
there.
yeah, no, she's
Yeah,
18.
she looks very young. I was assuming she was a kid helping
Oh, that's
volunteering.
funny. She'll like to hear that, I'm sure.
Wow, yeah. So, and then the background, then that's just supplies that were already there at the school then.
Yep.
So I was assuming that was stuff that you put into the backpacks.
Nope.
Okay.
No, mostly those are a lot of the books. In that room, we were kind of in a little library annex, and what we do a book for every student that's in second grade or lower. We would love to do a book for every student that we serve, but they're very expensive.
So that's incredible. So you started with the gifts, and then now also school supplies. Tell us about this here then, and the holiday tree.
Sure. Our Holiday Wish Drive, we borrow a very, very large building. It's about 150,000 square feet. And we put every child's wish on our wish cards, and we send those wish cards out all over the Bay Area, and people buy the gifts, right? And so hopefully, if this worked out well, a family might have taken this card for Kim, and she's 3 years old, and she wants a Precious Princess Belle doll, and hopefully they went shopping with their daughter and they said, hey, this little girl wants this Barbie. She doesn't have any Barbies at home. Let's choose which one we choose. And so they choose a good Barbie, and then on the 12th of December the gifts will show up at my warehouse. So we made a little model here of the warehouse, and all of the gifts come in.
Can you get a close-up of it? Let's see if we lean it a little bit.
Lean it.
Well, we can lean it carefully, right? Because they're Velcroed.
Yep, they're Velcroed in. And then the gifts come in, and every wish has its own gift card, and then they're lined up by each agency has their own space. And then we check the list, and if all the gifts are not there, then we go to our little store area and we say, oh, well, Frank wanted a football, so we're going to give Frank a football, and they put that in there.
So, and this is huge. How big of a space do you need?
150,000.
Again, this is a replica of the warehouse that you every year try to find a space for this, because it's not an all-year thing.
Yep.
25,000?
150,000 square feet.
150,000 square feet.
That's 2 large Costco's.
So that's like, is that the size of the stadium then?
Yes, yes.
About the size of the stadium?
Yes.
That's about how much space you need. The new stadium,
I
the
know, it's
49er
kind of
stadium.
crazy.
Wow. And you said that recently you just got the space.
Yeah, we just had it at the last minute.
In a nick of time, somebody came in. And does it matter where it is in the Bay Area? Is it better that it's down this way?
It needs to be close in the Sunnyvale, Mountain View, Santa Clara area. We've been in Milpitas a few times also. Really, we just need to be in a place where all of our volunteers can get to us, and the companies that take those wish cards can bring the gifts to us. And they don't want to really drive to we're in.
And your headquarters are in Milpitas.
Milpitas.
Have you always been in Milpitas?
We started in my dad's kitchen in Palo Alto for the first 3 years, and then we moved to San Jose. We were at East Ridge Mall for a few years, and for the past 20 almost years, we've been at the Sobrato Center for Nonprofits in Milpitas.
And how many employees do you guys have? And then how many volunteers?
It's my favorite stat. So we really talk about kids and their wishes and the joy of what we do, but the thing that I like talking about is that we have 19 staff and 8,000 volunteers.
19 staff and 8,000 volunteers. So you were talking a minute ago about how important this is in the process of training. So do you have certain volunteers that come back every year and then they help with this process of training people?
Exactly, yes. We call them angel elves. So we'll have 8,000 volunteers that will come, a couple hundred a shift all day long for about 10 days before Christmas. And those volunteers that are angel elves are the ones that come back over and over again, so they are very familiar with the process, and they actually do the training for most of the volunteers as groups as they come in.
Wow, that's incredible. I think I'm behind on the slide again too, so we're going to pull this up, and I'm not sure if this is this year or this is another year.
That is last year.
Last year.
And so that's an agency, or a couple agencies there that have all their gifts that have already been shopped for. Everything that needs to be there is there, and they've wrapped it up.
So they wrap that, or you guys wrap that?
We wrap it.
You wrap it.
We wrap
so
it.
Part of that 8,000 volunteers is people that like to wrap, can come help wrap.
Yep.
You probably need sorters. We can pull that down. What are some of the things that you have people do then?
So many of them will be sorting. Most of them will be sorting, and probably about half of them will end up doing some wrapping. The wrapping takes a very, very long time, and often the agencies that we're providing the gifts to do their own. September 11th was one of those moments in life where our program had to change, and all the gifts used to come into us wrapped and leave to the agencies wrapped. And since September 11th, we've had to cut down on that for the agency's comfort, and so only about half of them are wrapped now.
So again, how many families do you think you've helped over the years?
I don't know how many families. I know that on the 17th of December in 2012, we celebrated helping our millionth child, and it was a moment that was like having a baby, having my son.
The millionth child.
The millionth child.
So that's amazing. So how many is that a year then? About?
We're about 100,000 a year now.
Wow.
Which is pretty cool.
That's
that was
amazing.
also a neat milestone to get to 100,000.
Congratulations. That's pretty amazing what you've done. I'm going to start crying if I think about it. It's just amazing. So let's pull up another slide now. So I was looking online because I was curious. There are 9 Bay Area counties, and here's all of them: Alameda, Contra Costa, Marin, Napa, San Francisco, San Mateo, Santa Clara, Solano, Sonoma, and almost 8 million people, and that's what the census had taken. So the people who are working for us, who are, people who are doing server's job or whatever, who are maybe not from the US, those aren't counted. So it could be more than 10 million people here in the Bay Area.
Right.
We're not really sure. So about 10% of those people are in poverty level here in the Bay Area, which is just incredible. It could be more, it could be less.
It's
They're not
much
quite
more,
sure.
I
Let's
think.
pull that down. Yeah,
It's much more.
So this is a really amazing service that you're doing. I mean, if you've helped 1 million people and there's 10 million people in the Bay Area, that's just a fraction. There's probably way more need than you can fulfill right now.
Yeah, we talk about the 1 in 4. So 1 in 4 children in the Bay Area are living below the poverty line. So you look around in your classroom, there's 5 or 6 children there that aren't having dinner. That's pretty bad. In some of the schools that we're serving, that we provide the backpacks to, the most backpacks go to the schools that have the most needy children, and all we care about is financial need, right? Nothing else. And those backpacks go to kids who really their parents they're beyond choosing whether to pay rent or food. There's no chance in heck they're ever going to be able to get a backpack and school supplies. So those are our favorite backpacks to give out. We just know what a real difference it makes for kids like that.
So do you work with any of the other organizations as far as the food and helping with that?
We don't do food. We share volunteers. We've been very blessed to have an abundance of help every year. We have more than 1,000 people that help us during the back to school drive, and more than 8,000 that will come during the holiday drive.
Which is just incredible.
Which is pretty insane when you fill up all your volunteer spots in 2 days, and then you have to turn people away, which is not something that you want to do ever. But instead, we now try to reroute people to other nonprofits to help them during their times too.
Which is, there's something like 700 or 800 nonprofits in the Bay Area,
Yes.
some incredible number.
Huge number, yeah.
Yeah, and 200 of them I learned recently. There's the Silicon Valley Council of Nonprofits. Those are all the healthcare ones, which is like 200 there alone that you can peek into. What's the most important advice you can give to somebody that's starting a nonprofit, since you did that?
I do a little bit of mentoring of people who get an idea and they call and ask if I'll give them time, and I always say yes.
Except for not right now.
Yeah, right. Not in December. Can you wait till January? But I ask. I really want to know what their mission is. What is it that you're trying to accomplish? And then, have you done your research on what other organizations are out there doing what you do? Because I am very much in favor of starting new nonprofits and helping more people, and especially more creative ways. But it's really a burden if you're doing the exact same thing that these other 3 charities are doing. And if that's the case and your idea is so similar to theirs, I'm going to try to help you meet those people and see if they can work together.
Is something like the first 2 years that nonprofits start, they're going to fail?
Yep.
Is it like 1 out of
It's
10
like half
survive
or
or something like
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
And then every year there's, I don't know how many there's hundreds started every year,
Yeah.
just in the Bay Area alone. What's been the biggest challenge for you, and how did you overcome it, or how did you make that into a solution?
I think the biggest challenge we face every year is finding a space. So in the Silicon Valley, and needing 150,000 square feet for one drive and 25,000 for the other, it's always difficult to find a space and we need to find one that like just got vacated because they're about to sell it or tear it down and build houses or whatever. And so we are always in this game of, can we ask for a warehouse in August? No, we have to wait till October to ask for one in December because they won't know if it's available or not. And so that is really our biggest challenge, is finding space. And my dream is that someday someone's going to hand us one. They're going to say, here's a building, and then maybe we can have our first capital campaign or fundraiser or something.
And they'll gift you.
I think so. I think that's what's going to happen. Someone's going to say, wow, that's a lot of kids to help, and we want to keep it up.
Elf out there for you.
Yeah, we're building Santa at that point. Yeah.
Building Santa.
Yeah.
So what has been the best accolade for you, or best win? I mean, you have children, so that could be it there, but personally.
Pretty incredible having kids, especially when you thought you were as committed to the organization as was humanly possible, right? I really believed so much in what we were doing, and then I had my son, and he was about a year old. That first Christmas, he was opening his Christmas presents, and I just watched that and said, oh my God, there are so many children in the Bay Area that aren't doing that right now. And it was like a whole new level of, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life, and it has to be bigger now. I have to be able to get to more kids, and so it became a really, really invigorating moment to have my own child. But
that's probably the biggest accolade. The
biggest accolade, if I'm going to be really honest, was when I was able to be the San Jose State Business Alum of the Year, and that was pretty awesome because it was a San Jose State project that started the whole thing, and then I found out that I had to talk in front of 5,000 people, and it wasn't so fun anymore. It was pretty terrifying.
So is this hard doing public speaking for you?
Yeah.
You're great at it.
Well, thank you.
You were great the other day, and is there technology that's really important for what you do in your nonprofit?
I would say critical. So for the first year, we hand wrote all the wish cards. For the second year, we were doing it on Excel spreadsheets. The third year, we were learning about databases. By the fourth year, we were in a Q&A database, and then we've had iterations of different products along the way. So now we have a programmer and a proprietary software that we use, and it really is critical to make sure that every child has their own ID number, their barcode, their agency number, because this whole process is like a library and it's all numerical. And if we get this piece right, then people are going to love these wish cards. They're going to want to go buy this child that gift, and we'll be able to make sure it gets to the exact right child. If that software gets messed up, it wouldn't happen. So it's the most important thing I think that we have, other than our amazing staff and people that, our staff and board who just are so dedicated to helping kids. The software really is the critical piece for us.
I don't know if this is something I asked previously. I gave you some questions ahead of time, but is there thoughts of doing this and replicating this in other areas, or have you worked with other organizations that are
We haven't done a good job with that yet. My dream is a family giving tree in a box. I think that we should be able to solidify what we have, document what we have, and create a little game plan for anyone in the or anywhere in the world who would like to run a family giving tree and give them a little box. And here's your family giving tree in a box. And I think it's possible. We just haven't had the time to do it. And again, 19 staff would be the reason why. But
yeah, well, that's pretty big. That's a great thing. What's your biggest, and let's pull up the last slide, which is our community slide, and I always like to ask this, what is the biggest need right now? Is it a permanent space? Is it volunteers? Is it funding? What's your biggest need? Is it people to blog and talk about what you're doing?
You know, we've never asked for that particular kind of help, so that's a fascinating response. So yes, I would think that people that talk about us, that's how we grow. We don't do any marketing that is in a traditional way. Our organization spreads by word of mouth. And I had a giving tree in this company, and I just started a job in this one. Could you send me wish cards? And that's literally how we help more children. I think our biggest needs, other than the personal business space, the warehouse, is probably people to help the children and the seniors who have a little bit more difficult of wishes. So instead of Barbies and Tonka trucks, they wanted a picture book of Africa and a purple sweater with a cat on it that has a hood, right? And so those wishes are really they're hard to grant. And I know there's people out there like me who love to shop, and I hope that they take those wish cards and go find that perfect sweater.
Events. Do you have fundraising events that you do besides this to keep things going with your organization, or are you hosting other events besides what you do in the summer and the fall?
We're a little unusual in that way. Our two events really are both drives, the backpack drive and the holiday drive, and all the little events around them are mostly done by the companies that we send our wish cards to. Basketball tournaments and dunk I love it, the dunk tank, and you can throw pies in your boss's face if you buy a gift for the giving tree and fun things like that. But we don't actually do fundraisers, and we found that fundraisers are very they cost a lot, they take a lot of staff time, and they're not really effective. And so we really rely on the community just in general to provide the gifts, and we have a couple foundations that are really wonderful that help us, a bunch of realtors in Los Gatos who help us every year. There's just there's a lot of people that are very supportive in the Bay Area.
That's awesome. Future plans. Is there any future plans that you have?
Other than family giving tree in a box.
Yeah.
Well, I figured it took us 22 years to get to the first 1 million children, and I would love to get to the next 1,000,010. You know, I really would love to be big enough that we're helping 1 million children and then ramp from there.
You must have had a pretty great holiday yourself to come up with this when you were a child.
I did have a good holiday, but many of my holidays as an older child were really wonderful, and the first couple were great, but my parents actually had issues and split when I was 7. So a social service organization, a nonprofit, took my little brother shopping and let him buy a gift for everybody in our family. And
Aww.
yeah, and I think that was where the family giving tree was born in my heart. I just didn't know it then. But I watched him and his joy of watching all of us open our gifts. And
I think a lot of us California families have parents divorced and remarried, and
quite a bit. And it was just a really hard year. And so they let him do that, and he got to see my mom open a gift, and I don't think he'd ever seen her open a present ever. And they brought us a dinner, and it was just this beautiful thing. And I realized that I could never thank them, and how amazing that was that these people did it, and they did not expect a thing from our family. And it was just gorgeous. And so that's what we try to do.
Social workers are I know a couple of social workers that are pretty amazing people, what they do. Yeah. What's the best part of what you do? What's your favorite part of what you do?
Well, now my favorite part is waking up on Christmas morning and imagining the children who are opening their gifts and the joy that they are receiving. I get to see a few do it. I get to see a few of the seniors every year. I go to one of their parties and get to see those gifts open, and bathrobes and slippers and Steve's candies are really popular with seniors. But most of the people we serve is children, and so on Christmas morning I just kind of wake up and don't even get dressed. We made it, we're exhausted and stay in our pajamas, but we have all those children's faces to imagine.
Is there one memorable moment you have too? Is it those pillows that he asked for?
I think the pillows are always there. I think of the pillows every night when I go to bed. I mean, every time I see pillows, I think of him, and I think, wow, I wonder what he's doing now.
Do you still get requests for pillows?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay, makes me want to go to Costco and buy you some
Yep.
pillows.
Yep, that would be awesome. Pillows
Yeah.
and bedding, bathrobes and slippers.
Wow.
Anything for teenagers.
Okay. Teenagers are hard too.
Teenagers are hard.
They're really hard to buy for.
But
if they tell you they want something though, then right? So
but you don't want to buy gifts for the 3 younger children in the family and not have something for the 15-year-old.
Right.
So that's why those are the hardest ones for us.
Is there one thing you want people to remember you for? And then we have about 3 minutes left, so any final thoughts after that too?
Well, technology is our friend, very much so. So we have our virtual giving tree online, and so people can all year round actually go and help. They can help specific children now through the middle of January, and then again for the back to school drive. And they can choose what type of boy or girl, or what age, or they can even look now to say, well, I wanted to provide a Barbie versus a truck or whatever, and they can look those things up and they can provide those gifts for the kids. And so that's pretty awesome.
So that's interesting that you've got that online and they're able to. That's a massive database thing right there. So
it's a massive database thing and a really interesting shopping challenge. So the logistics of that shopping challenge is really fun. But like I said, we love to shop, so that works okay. And when places like Razor will sell you $50 scooters for $10, it's awesome. So our money goes 3 or 4 times farther than anybody else's would.
And I guess this isn't a question I asked before, but are there some companies out there that are making toys and things that'll do matching as well?
Yeah, Mattel has been fabulous, and JanSport's been fabulous. But mostly, it's the people that are taking those wish cards and buying the gifts at our local stores that are making the biggest difference, right? And if they're taking their kids with them and sharing that experience and sharing that we're so fortunate and that others are not, my belief is that we're making a bigger difference in their lives than even those that we're serving.
We didn't mention this one over here. Is there something there that we need to?
Well, this is just the other part of the warehouse.
Okay.
And this is the bags that they look like when they're all bagged up. So all the
awesome.
kids' wishes in there, or if the agency wanted them wrapped, they'd be there.
And you made this.
And the wish list.
So talented.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, artistic too.
Yeah.
So any other last thoughts too?
No, just thank you very much for helping us spread the word. It really is a
you
very
for
grassroots organization.
Thank you for coming on the show and being our 150th guest.
My
I mean, this was
pleasure.
great. What you're doing, the work is so important. And you're very blessed for what you've done, and it's amazing. Yeah. And to the audience, thank you for joining us. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook. We have a Facebook page, SVTAGS.org. We also have a meetup group. Occasionally we do some meetups, so maybe next year we can do something together. And make this a great TAGS week by conserving, reusing, and rethinking the way that you choose to live here in Silicon Valley beyond. And of course, go to the Family Giving Tree this holiday to help them with what they're doing, and in the summer too, and all year round, I guess.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure.